You keep seeing one name return to you in strange ways, not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly enough to disturb your sleep and soften your prayer. It appears in a conversation you were not expecting, in a memory you thought had already lost its power, in a moment when your heart was trying to move on, but your soul paused as if it recognized something deeper than desire. And what makes it difficult is that you cannot explain it without sounding foolish. You are not chasing every face that smiles at you. You are not building fantasies out of nothing. You have lived long enough to know the difference between attraction and alignment, between hunger and peace, between someone who excites your ego and someone who makes you remember Allah when nobody is watching. That is why this has been weighing on you. Because some people enter your life like a storm, and others enter like a door being opened in a wall you did not even know was there. You may have asked Allah to remove this feeling if it was not from Him, yet somehow the feeling did not turn wild. It became quieter, cleaner, more patient. It did not push you into sin as much as it pushed you into honesty. It did not make you abandon your prayer. It made you return to it with trembling sincerity. That is the part you cannot ignore. Sometimes the person Allah allows into your path is not immediately given to you because the first purpose of that connection is not possession. It is revelation. It reveals where you are wounded, where you are impatient, where you confuse love with control, where you need sabr before you are ready for trust. The shocking name may not be the name you expected to hear. It may not be the person you have written in your mind 1,000 times. It may be the name of what Allah is trying to build inside you through them. Discipline, surrender, purity, courage, restraint. And if that person truly belongs in your written decree, then nothing pure will require you to lose yourself, humiliate yourself, or disobey the one who created both of your hearts. There is a kind of emotional tension that only Allah sees because from the outside, you look calm. You still answer messages, you still go to work, you still smile when people speak to you. But inside, there is a question you carry everywhere. Why did this person affect me so deeply when others came and went without touching that hidden place? You try to be rational, and you should be rational. Faith is not an excuse to abandon wisdom. But something in you keeps returning to the way their presence changed the direction of your inner life. Maybe you became more careful with your words. Maybe you stopped entertaining people who only kept you distracted. Maybe you began to ask whether your heart was clean enough to love someone without demanding from them what only Allah can give. This is where many people misunderstand divine guidance. They think if Allah wants two people together, everything becomes instantly easy. Doors fly open and no test remains. But the Quran teaches a different reality. What is valuable is often protected through trial, delay, and purification. Ease is not the only sign of blessing. Sometimes resistance is also mercy, because it keeps your intention from becoming corrupted. If you received exactly what you wanted, the moment you wanted it, you might have treated the gift carelessly. You might have turned the person into an idol of comfort, making their approval the thing you live for. So, Allah slows the matter down. He lets you feel enough to pay attention, but not enough to lose your mind. He allows signs, but not certainty that makes you arrogant. He leaves space for prayer, consultation, character, teaching, and truth. The loneliness you feel in this process is not proof that you are abandoned. It may be the private place where Allah is teaching you not to let longing become worship. Because even when the connection is real, your heart must remain free enough to bow only to Him. A person may be written as a blessing, but they cannot become your Qibla. A soul may feel familiar, but it cannot replace tawakkul. And if this connection is from Allah, it will not demand that you destroy your boundaries to prove your love. The false interpretation is always the easiest one. The heart says, if I feel this deeply, then this must be the one. And if this is the one, then every delay is an attack, every silence is a sign of rejection, every obstacle is an enemy trying to steal what Allah meant for me. But A spiritually mature heart learns to slow down before naming everything as destiny. Not every ache is revelation. Not every recurring thought is guidance. Sometimes a feeling repeats because it is unresolved, not because it is divinely confirmed. Sometimes the person is not the destination. They are the mirror. They expose your attachment style, your fear of abandonment, your need to be chosen, your tendency to read kindness as a promise. That does not make the connection fake. It makes it serious. Allah may send someone into your life to show you the exact place where your trust is still fragile. And this is where you must be honest with yourself. Does thinking about this person make you more obedient or more reckless? Does it make you protect your dignity or throw it away? Does it make you patient or does it make you spy, beg, manipulate, and compare yourself to everyone around them? A connection that begins as a mercy can become a test if you refuse to handle it with discipline. There is no shame in loving. The shame is in letting love become a secret rebellion against Allah. The believer is allowed to feel deeply, but not to be dragged blindly. You can make dua for someone and still step back. You can care and still guard your modesty. You can hope and still accept that Allah knows what your eyes cannot see. This is the point where many hearts either become purified or poisoned. The same longing can lift you into prayer or pull you into obsession. The difference is what you do with it when nobody is there to praise your patience. If this part touches a place you rarely admit out loud, let the like be a quiet acknowledgement that you are choosing faith over emotional chaos. Because the one who is truly being guided is not the one who feels the most intense attraction, but the one who refuses to let attraction become disobedience. Now, consider the counterexample because it protects you from confusing fantasy with faith. There are people who will make your heart race and still make your soul weaker. They will say the right words, but pull you away from the right path. They will understand your wounds, but not respect your limits. They will know how to keep you emotionally attached while offering no clarity, no responsibility, no honorable direction. And if you are lonely enough, you may mistake their inconsistency for mystery. You may call their absence a test from Allah when in reality it is a pattern you need to stop romanticizing. A person sent as mercy does not have to be perfect, but their presence should not normalize humiliation. They may be human, confused, afraid, or healing, but they will not continuously push you into darkness and then ask you to call it love. This is why you must observe fruit, not just feelings. When that person enters your thoughts, what grows afterward? Prayer or panic? Sincerity or performance? Peace or addiction? Repentance or secrecy? Some connections are intense because they awaken old wounds, not because they carry divine blessing. Some names repeat in your life because your nafs is addicted to being chosen by someone emotionally unavailable. Some doors stay closed because Allah is protecting you from a version of love that would have consumed your dignity. It is possible to want someone sincerely and still be wrong about what is best for you. It is possible to believe a person is the answer, while Allah is using the delay to show you the question beneath the question. You asked for companionship, but maybe the deeper prayer was for safety. You asked for marriage, but maybe the deeper wound was wanting to be seen without having to perform. You asked for this one person, but Allah may be teaching you how to ask without clenching your fists around the outcome. The counterexample does not destroy hope, it purifies it, because true tawakkul is not saying, Allah must give me this person because I feel it. True tawakkul is saying, Allah, if this person is good for my faith, my future, and my peace, open the door with honor, and if not, remove the attachment without destroying me. The contrast becomes clear in behavior. One person feels guided and grows quieter, more responsible, more careful with their heart. Another person feels guided and becomes frantic, reading signs into every coincidence, forcing conversations, watching social media, like it is revelation, turning every delay into proof that someone is plotting against them. Hidden enemies may exist. Envy exists. Ill intention exists. Not everyone who smiles at your happiness wants to see it completed, but the believer does not become paranoid just because unseen forces are real. Your protection is not in suspicion, it is in obedience, dua, discretion, and trust. When Allah is protecting a connection, He may also protect it from premature exposure. That is why some matters lose barakah when they are shown too early to people who do not have clean hearts. You do not need to announce every feeling, every sign, every dream, every private hope. Some seeds die because they are dug up every day to prove they are growing. If Allah has placed someone in your life with a meaningful purpose, learn the discipline of silence, not the silence of fear, but the silence of protection. Do not let everyone inspect what is still forming. Do not invite opinions from people who cannot tell the difference between concern and control. At the same time, do not hide from wise counsel. There is a difference between protecting a sacred matter and isolating yourself inside your own imagination. A trusted elder, a sincere friend, or someone grounded in faith may see what your emotions blur. The chosen path is rarely the loudest path. It often looks like restraint when your heart wants to rush, prayer when your ego wants proof, and patience when your fear wants a guarantee. If this person is meant to walk with you, there will be a way that does not require you to violate your values. It may take time. It may require difficult conversations. It may require both of you to grow separately before you can meet correctly. But what is from Allah does not need to be stolen from the darkness. It can survive the light. There is also a nuance many people avoid. Sometimes Allah guides you toward a person, not because you are meant to marry them immediately, but because through them you learn what kind of love is safe for your soul. Maybe they showed you what calm communication feels like after years of emotional noise. Maybe they respected a boundary you expected them to mock. Maybe their character made you realize you had been accepting crumbs from people who only knew how to take. In that case, the person becomes a sign, even if the final outcome remains hidden. Signs are not always instructions to act. Sometimes they are invitations to understand. Allah can use one person to raise your standard, another to expose your weakness, another to teach you forgiveness, and another to remind you that your heart is still alive after disappointment. The mistake is demanding that every meaningful connection become permanent. Some people are written into a chapter, not the whole book, and the chapter still matters. The believer does not deny the depth of an encounter just because it did not end the way they hoped. You can honor what Allah taught you without insisting that the lesson must become your future. This is painful, but it is also freeing. Because if you believe every strong feeling must become a lifelong bond, you will start fighting Allah whenever He redirects you. You will hold on to someone beyond the point of dignity simply because the beginning felt spiritual. But divine timing includes endings, distance, silence, and redirection. It includes the moment when you stop asking, "Why did I meet them?" and begin asking, "What did Allah reveal through this meeting that I must not ignore?" Maybe He revealed that you are capable of loving without becoming cruel. Maybe He revealed that you need healing before commitment. Maybe He revealed that you have been confusing emotional intensity with spiritual compatibility. Maybe He revealed that the one you choose must be someone who helps you become more truthful with Him, not merely more attached to them. This nuance keeps your hope clean. It allows you to pray for a person while remaining open to Allah's answer. It lets you admit this mattered without forcing the matter to become something Allah has not yet written. Picture a simple scene. It is late at night and the house has gone quiet. Your phone is beside you, the screen dark, and you have already checked it too many times. There is no message, no sign, no clear answer, just that familiar pressure in your chest, the one that asks whether you have imagined everything. You make wudu not because you feel strong, but because you feel close to breaking. You stand to pray, and for the first time, you do not ask Allah to force the person toward you. You ask Him to remove anything in you that would mishandle love if it arrived. You ask Him to protect the other person from your impatience, your projections, your fear. You ask Him to protect you from mistaking longing for guidance. And something changes. Not the situation, not the silence, not the outward facts. What changes is the posture of your heart. You stop treating Allah like a means to reach a person, and you remember that every person is only safe when approached through Allah. That is a hidden mercy, because the heart that can pray like this is no longer merely chasing. It is being trained. It is learning that love without discipline becomes hunger, and hunger without faith becomes harm. The person's name may still hurt, you may still wonder, you may still hope, but hope becomes cleaner when it kneels. If this connection has been pulling you back to prayer in a way nothing else has, pay attention, but do not rush to label it. Let prayer clarify what emotion complicates. Let time reveal what intensity exaggerates. Let character speak louder than chemistry. And if you feel safe enough to share it, leave a comment answering this one question. What changed in your prayer after this person entered your life? Not what you want from them, not what sign you saw, but what changed between you and Allah. That answer may tell you more than the story you keep replaying in your mind. Because sometimes the truest sign is not that the person moves closer, but that you move closer to the one who knows why they appeared at all. Then comes the harder part, accepting that Allah's guidance is not always emotionally satisfying in the moment. You may receive peace in your heart, but still have no clear path. You may feel drawn towards someone, but still be required to wait. You may make istikhara and not see a dream, not hear a voice, not receive some dramatic confirmation, but slowly notice your heart becoming either expanded or constricted around the matter. Guidance often arrives through the condition of the soul, through doors opening with dignity or closing with mercy, through people's character becoming visible over time. This is why impatience is dangerous. It demands a conclusion before the evidence has matured. It says, I need to know now, while wisdom says, let what is hidden become known without forcing it. If the person is truly written for you, no delay can erase what Allah has decreed. But if they are not written for you, no obsession can make them safe. This is not coldness, it is protection. The unseen mercy may be the unanswered message. The unseen mercy may be the family hesitation that prevents a rushed decision. The unseen mercy may be the distance that reveals whether both hearts are sincere or merely excited by difficulty. Divine timing is not a romantic decoration. It is a real test of whether you trust Allah when your emotions are not being obeyed. And sometimes the test is not whether you can keep loving someone. The test is whether you can remain honorable while you do not know what will happen. Can you avoid bitterness? Can you refuse to curse what Allah has not given? Can you stop comparing your timeline to people who seem to receive love easily? Can you admit that what looks delayed may actually be protected? The person Allah wants for you will not require you to become spiritually careless in order to keep them. They may challenge you, yes. They may expose immaturity, yes. They may arrive in a season that demands patience, but the path will not be built on constant anxiety, secret sin, or the slow erosion of your self-respect. The soul knows the difference, even when the heart argues. This is where silent protection becomes clearer. You thought Allah was keeping you away from happiness, but perhaps He was keeping you away from a version of yourself that would have ruined the gift. There are moments when two people cannot be brought together yet, not because there is no goodness between them, but because their wounds would speak louder than their faith. One would demand reassurance from an unhealed place. The other would withdraw out of fear. One would confuse leadership with control. The other would confuse patience with silence. And what could have been a blessing would become a battlefield. So Allah places distance where you wanted closeness. He allows uncertainty where you wanted a promise. He teaches you to become someone who can love without devouring, wait without collapsing, and choose without losing your principles. This is not glamorous. It is often lonely. You may watch others step easily into relationships while you are being asked to examine your intentions in the dark. But loneliness, when carried with Allah, is not empty. It becomes a room of correction. You begin to notice your habits, the way you attach meaning to every small gesture, the way you panic when you are not immediately chosen, the way your mind creates enemies because it is easier to blame interference than face uncertainty. Hidden enemies may be real, but sometimes the hidden enemy is the untrained part of the self that refuses to surrender. It whispers, "If you do not act now, you will lose them." Faith answers, "If Allah wrote it, I cannot lose it through obedience." That sentence is not passive. It does not mean you do nothing forever. It means you do what is right without desperation. You communicate clearly when the time is appropriate. You involve families or proper channels when seriousness is present. You stop feeding secret attachments that have no honorable direction. You do not use spirituality to avoid maturity. The person Allah wants you to be with will be connected to a path of responsibility, not just emotion. And perhaps the shock is that Allah is not only preparing them for you, He is preparing you to stop treating love like rescue and start treating it like trust. There will be signs that are quieter than coincidence. A person who makes you want to be more truthful. A person whose presence does not flatter your ego as much as it steadies your heart. A person who does not make faith feel like an obstacle, but like the ground beneath the relationship. Yet even then, you must be careful. A good sign is not a permission slip to abandon wisdom. You still look at character, consistency, family realities, emotional maturity, shared values, and the ability to handle conflict without cruelty. You still ask whether there is a real path forward, not just a beautiful feeling floating above reality. Love that cannot enter daylight will eventually become heavy. This is why Islam protects the heart through boundaries before it protects the home through commitment. It understands that human beings are not made of stone. We can be moved, tempted, confused, and deeply sincere all at once. The spiritual path is not to pretend you feel nothing. It is to let what you feel pass through the filter of what Allah loves. If the connection is pure, purity will not destroy it. If honesty ruins it, then illusion was holding it together. If patience exposes emptiness, then delay saved you. If distance strengthens prayer and clarifies intention, then distance was not punishment. Your task is not to decode every symbol until you exhaust yourself. Your task is to become the kind of servant who can receive either answer without turning away from Allah. That is strength, not the loud strength that announces itself, but the quiet strength of someone who can say, "I hope, but I do not worship my hope." The person may come closer. The person may fade. A different door may open that makes this season finally make sense. You do not know, but you can know this. Allah does not waste sincere prayer. He may answer it by giving, by delaying, by replacing, or by changing the heart that asked it. And when the answer arrives, it will not need the panic you once thought was proof of love. It will carry a calm weight, the kind that asks for gratitude, not chaos. So, when you hear that Allah wants you to be with this person, do not reduce that sentence to a name you can write, chase, or possess. Ask first what with means in the sight of Allah. It may mean with them in marriage if the path opens with goodness and honor. It may mean with them in a lesson that awakens you. It may mean with them only long enough to remember what kind of heart you want to bring into your future. It may mean that their name was never the final shock. The real shock is discovering that Allah used your longing to call you back to Him. He allowed one human being to touch a hidden place in you, then watched what you would do with the ache. Would you become manipulative, bitter, obsessive, and careless? Or would you become patient, honest, disciplined, and more alive in prayer? That is where the matter becomes clear. Not easy, but clear. A connection from Allah will not make you less accountable. It will make you more aware of your accountability. It will not turn you into someone who harms others because you believe your feelings are sacred. It will humble you. It will teach you to protect what is private, purify what is intense, and release what Allah does not open. The name you have been waiting to hear may belong to a person, but the meaning behind it belongs to your transformation. If they are written for you, they will meet the version of you that learns sabr before arrival, tawakkul before certainty, and obedience before union. If they are not written for you, then even your heartbreak will not be wasted, because it trained your soul to love without making an idol out of love. And one day, whether with that person or without them, you may look back and realize the mercy was not only in who stayed, it was in who made you return to Allah before anything stayed at all.